Have you ever been at home doing something, could be anything, and you get that sudden feeling of hungriness? But each and every time you look in the fridge or look in the pantry, no matter how many times you go back in there, you never see anything that you want, or that's easy, or that's nutritious, or good for you. My go to is mac and cheese, and I think you may be missing out on it. We all get hungry, and not all of us have the time, energy, or skill to make a meal to fulfill the everlasting hunger. Mac and cheese is easy to make and tasty. Today, I will be talking about 3 points. First, choosing the right type of mac and cheese for yourself. Second, cooking the mac and cheese. And third, customizing your mac and cheese. Let's get started picking what's right for you. Choosing the right type. According to the Washington Post, the best types of boxed mac and cheese consist of Velveeta at number 1, Annie's white cheddar shells at number 2, and 365 macaroni and cheese at number 3. I have had to cook mac and cheese for myself countless times, and during these times, I have had to cook all 3 of these types of mac and cheese. They are all really pretty easy to make, but Velveeta has liquid cheese, and so if you like liquid cheese, then that's your preference. For me, it's a little bit messy, so I go with the powdery stuff. Also, according to the Washington Post, Annie's white cheddar shells are considered a cult favorite. There is definitely truth in that statement. Annie's white cheddar shells are hands down my favorite type of mac and cheese. I grew up in a household where we were only allowed to eat organic foods because my mom is a nurse practitioner, so that's all she allows. And thankfully, Annie's mac and cheese was around quite a bit. And once you've decided your mac and cheese, let's move on to cooking it. Cooking your mac and cheese. According to WikiHow, you're going to first want to bring 6 cups of water to a boil, add the macaroni noodles, and stir the noodles for about 7 to 8 minutes, and strain them in a strainer. Now, I usually don't measure exactly how much water I put in. You can kind of eyeball it. If it's your first time cooking mac and cheese, then you might want to measure it. But once you get used to it, you can kind of just look at it. Also, when you're boiling the noodles, use a spoon that has holes in it so that you can scoop the macaroni out and test how soft it is without spilling water all over the place. The following steps that WikiHow states in cooking mac and cheese are to add a 1/4 cup of margarine, a 1/4 cup of milk, and then finally add the cheese powder and serve yourself. Now, cooking mac and cheese isn't an exact science, so you have some room to change the variables. For example, I will sometimes use grapeseed oil instead of margarine, even though I don't use margarine because I don't know what that is, and I use butter. But if I don't want to use butter, I use grapeseed oil. Or I'll put more milk in. You can really kind of make it how you want it. And if you don't like any of the ingredients, there's good substitutes for all of them. Now that we've talked about picking your mac and cheese, cooking your mac and cheese, it's now time for my third and final point: customizing your mac and cheese. According to the Cookful, the top 3 meat toppings for mac and cheese are diced ham, shredded pork, and grilled chicken. When it comes to additional cheese, the top 3 are cheddar, pepper jack, and blue cheese crumbles. If I'm feeling a little fancy, I'll throw a couple slices of cheddar in the pot when I'm cooking up the mac and cheese. And if there's any hot dogs in the fridge, I'll throw those in there too. It's easy, and they're already cooked, so you're good to go once you are ready to eat it. But if you have pulled pork, you need to take advantage of that immediately. Pulled pork and mac and cheese should be considered a delicacy. Also, according to the same source, the top 3 vegetable toppings are tomatoes, mushrooms, and onions. And the best 3 sauces are ketchup, truffle oil, and hot sauce. In my personal experience, Ketchup is great on mac and cheese. This is a very controversial topic amongst people who eat mac and cheese, and I would argue this point if my life depended on it. Ketchup is good on mac and cheese. I also have tried truffle oil and hot sauce. Those are pretty good too. Um, although onions, I've never heard of that, so I would proceed with caution if you're trying that out. In conclusion, mac and cheese is easy to make and tasty. Today I've talked about 3 points. First, choosing the type of mac and cheese. For example, Annie's, Velveeta, Kraft, 365. Second, cooking the mac and cheese. For example, testing the softness of the noodle and bringing the water to a boil. Third, customizing your mac and cheese. For example, putting in different types of cheeses or meats or vegetables or sauces. And if you don't know it already, you should know now that mac and cheese is first of all very easy to make by itself, but also that it is delicious. If you don't like it by itself, mac and cheese is arguably one of the most customizable meals on the planet, and the only limit to what you can do to it is your imagination.